Broadcasting live from the Cobb Galleria Center for SOAHR 2022, it's time for North Fulton Business Radio, brought to you by Renaissance Bank. Now, here's your host.
And hello again, everyone. John Ray here, live at SOAHR 2022, the annual conference of SHRM Atlanta. We're delighted to be here and delighted to be sitting alongside Tino Mantella. Tino's an old friend, been our studio many times. Tino, great to see you.
Yeah. It's great to see you. I didn't know this was live, though. Now I'm nervous. No, I'm kidding.
You're not nervous. You've done this so many times, you've forgotten how many times, right? Tino is with, among other affiliations, Turknett Leadership Group. Talk about the work for those. There's probably about 3 people that don't know Turknett Leadership Group.
Yeah,
so talk about
we'll
it.
Educate the 3.
Yeah.
So, it's a great organization started by Bob and Lynn Turknett. That's why it's called Turknett, and 36 years ago. So Bob's a PhD psychologist, and Lynn Turknett is a master of a number of things. She's got a math background, a social service background, so very talented people. And they brought me in about 4 years ago to be the president and CEO. Yep. And it's been a blast. It's, John, most of my background's been in the nonprofit world.
Right.
And I wanted to go to the dark side, and see what that was like. And this was a good transition because it really is about helping people and making an impact through our work. And it's been a great ride, almost 4 years now.
So leadership in the pandemic. I mean, this is something that's been a theme in terms of a lot of the work you're putting out here in the last few years. Talk about where you see things now for leaders as they look ahead for their organizations.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting. I take a step back and just say that people would wonder, like an organization like ours, how we did during the pandemic.
Yeah, please.
And it was actually very interesting because we had one of my first moves was to move into this very nice office about 1 month before COVID hit. And guess what? Not many people come in there now. But what happened was there was this perception that you had to be really close to your coach. People were flying in from all over the country for their 90-minute meeting, and it was very impactful, and then they'd fly back. So as soon as COVID hit, within a matter of really days, we were able to transition to using, one of the virtual devices, Zoom or Teams. Typically we use Zoom. And it opened up the world to us because all of a sudden, if there was someone in California that wanted to coach, their perception changed that they could have a coach anywhere. So now we're coaching people in Czechoslovakia and Poland and the UK and Germany, Mexico, Canada, really different places in the world. And we're just using the virtual. If they're local and want to come in, we have opportunities to do that. But so we've been able to grow. Right now we're coaching about 300 people, which is, a significant number, from CEOs of big companies to mid-size, to high potentials, to people with challenges, to group coaching. So we're doing all of that in the coaching space. So going back to your other question, it's so what are leaders thinking now? Well, on our theme for the session is conscious capitalism. And, people talk about, I'm sure I'm not the first person to mention the Great Resignation today with you. But, what's happening is particularly the millennials and the Zs, but really every generation now with being able to work remote, being able to understand how to keep people engaged working remote. But in conscious capitalism, they talk about purpose and caring about stakeholders and the environment and how you support non-for-profits. So there's, what we could say a greater purpose. And a lot of people that are working now want more than just a company that's looking for that bottom line. So there's like a double bottom line now. So we've got a great panel led by Shannon Gill, who is really very actively involved with conscious capitalism. And I just kind of fell in love with the thought about it, and how in our business, we say unleashing potential, which is how we help people to create their greater purpose. So it really ties in nicely to what Turknett Leadership does.
Yeah, and we're here in an HR conference. Conscious capitalism, people think of that maybe as something that's outward looking, a lot. They maybe they think of that first, maybe. But they don't think about the impact that has on the people in the organization, right? I mean, there's a real impact there.
Right, and it is a movement, so it's trying to build with the word that there's Shane Jackson's going to be on the panel, and he's also very active with Beyond Profit. Very similar, but I think that this movement is taking hold, and it's been around for a while. Groups like Whole Food, and there's companies all over the country that are involved with this, but what they're finding is it does impact the individual, as you say. But also what they're finding is your ROI is more significant when you're a conscious capital company.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that seems to be the sticking point a lot of folks have, right? I mean, hey, I'm a public company, or I've got investors I've got to report to. I mean, help me out here, Tino. What's the ROI, right? Right.
Well, I'm listening to the audio book as I was driving in, because I'm trying to beef up for learning more about this, and they're saying that that the return on investment, when people are engaged, you don't have the type of turnover that may be the case in other situations, that there's more engagement, more involvement, and then with that, and your stakeholders are supporting you, your partners are supporting you, you're still returning money, which is important to your investors. But the question is, if you give money, let's say, to a nonprofit, and like Whole Foods, I think they give away 5% of their money to a nonprofit at least, and their feeling is that with that investment in community, investment in nonprofits, making your community better, making the environment better, that ultimately you're going to have a stronger company, and therefore there's going to be more return for the investors down the road. So there's not that line of delineation between we need to make money on the bottom line because we're let's say a public company, and we need to be a purpose-driven company that wants to help nonprofits, or they want to contribute to the environment. Because, as you know, it all ties together now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And part of what you're talking about, I think I hear in what you're saying, is just the resilience of that ROI, right? I mean, building a foundation that allows you to get that return over many years.
Yeah, it's not a short-term thing. And we went to school and taking business classes and all. It's like, okay, companies are looking more and more for what's happening this month, what's happening for this quarter. So, but if you take a little bit of a longer view, that it does show, it's proven. I mean, ROI, when I say that from a bottom line financially, that I don't remember the percentages, John, but it's much more significant for the companies that are kind of follow this conscious capital theme.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk to HR leaders specifically, because that's who you'll be talking to tomorrow. I mean, you're in the world of identifying the issues that they need to be paying attention to. What are some of the general thoughts that you have for HR leaders today as they work with their people?
It'll be interesting to see, first of all, with HR leaders that attend our session, if what they know about conscious capitalism and beyond profit. I'm going to guess that a lot of them may have heard the term, but just an equal number may have not heard the term. So our first goal tomorrow, at least in my mind, is creating awareness. And then the second goal is how can they come back, and we'll talk about this a little bit tomorrow, to take action in their company. Because they may say, well, I'm not the CEO, I'm not the chairman of the board, I don't have power to say, okay, I'm going to wave a magic wand and all of a sudden we're going to be a conscious capital company. But what we want to do is give them some information about what it is, and then give them some tips, because we have companies that are doing this, like Jackson Healthcare, to say, how do you sort of make the incremental steps to begin to make a company that's more conscious, a conscious business, and what can the HR people do about that? What can you as a CHRO do about moving the needle on what's your case that you're going to make, white paper, whatever you're going to do to say gather information to talk to the COO or the CEO or even your team about the importance of just thinking about things differently. And maybe, we said when I took over the job at TAG back in 2004.
Oh, wow.
And we had, I know it was a long time ago, John.
Yep.
And we had 350 members, and I think I had about a 3-month burn rate before it was going to go out of business. Why did I take that job?
Yeah.
No, it was because I knew it could be turned around. But what we said is that never let a good crisis go to waste. That wasn't my term, but, never let a good crisis. And I think this is the same thing as if, now it might be changing a little bit with inflation and all, but with basically zero unemployment and people leaving, I think some months is, 4 million people or whatever that might be a crisis, and therefore maybe they need to think of maybe the CEOs need to think of some new ideas in terms of how to get people to be involved and stay. And I think if you're, I'm going to just say typically a younger person, just because I think that they've been raised to see the importance of the purpose, giving back, whatever that means to them, whether it's environment or, save the rainforest, what have you, is that if you have a motivated group of leaders and they really walk their talk in terms of, making a difference, that then there's a better chance that their people will stay. Now I'll probably talk because, we're a leadership development company. We're coaching 300 people, and we have all kinds of situations of people we coach. But so you still have to have those, what Bob and Lynn built was this scale you might remember from other times we met.
Absolutely.
That has a balance of respect and responsibility.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So they were sort of into the respect side, emotional mastery, empathy, humility, before that side was cool. Because when I took my first job as a CEO, it was like, okay, I'm the CEO, and this is the way you're going to do it.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, they're going to just walk out the door and not come back if you do that now. So even if you can have your epiphanies in a lot of different ways, but it's like, okay, that way doesn't work anymore, so it doesn't matter. So we coach to that and have those opportunities. So I guess my point is that in addition to being a purpose-driven company, you have to be really strong in terms of leadership and showing respect as much as you're taking the accountability and responsibility side. Yeah,
for sure. So let's, as we wrap it up here, let's give a quick, I want to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit more about Turknett and the work you do. If someone's interested in engaging with you in your coaching services, how does a conversation unfold?
Well, and it's every day now. It's really been significant. We've grown about 300% since I've been in the job, not just because of me, but a good team and just the timing of people really wanting to have a coach. It's interesting because I was talking to somebody a while back, and they were like, well, think about it. For younger people that are raised now, like let's say you're on a baseball team, typically you have a pitching coach, a batting coach, an infield coach, an outfield coach. So long story short, people growing up in this generation are pretty used to having coaches for a variety of different things. It may not be a leadership coach. So if people are interested, they can reach out, contact me, the Turknett Leadership Group. My email's tmantella@turknett.com, but they can just reach out to the company. And the way it usually starts is the company is interested in either coaching. One of our popular programs now is called Manager to Leader. And what we're finding is that people, because of this rapid change, that you have people that are managers, but they haven't necessarily ever picked up the leadership development skills.
Oh, wow.
So what's the vision? How do you communicate? How do you give feedback? How do you receive feedback? How do you show empathy? How do you really motivate your team? That sort of thing. So we're doing a number of programs. We also do programs in the DEI space, group coaching, succession planning, pretty much anything you can think of in that leadership side. So the companies that call us could be, the big ones like UPS or We're actually doing some work with startups too now. So pretty much
Wow.
everything in between.
That's terrific. Such great work you do. And let's just remind everyone where they can find more information.
Yeah, so again, Turknett.com is the website. It's a robust website, so I think go there. Certainly contact our office, and we'll walk them through the options. If they're at SHRM, come over to our booth.
Yep.
And participate. But we love helping people, and that's kind of our purpose, unleashing potential. So it ties into conscious capitalism and what we're doing.
And I'm just going to shout out you. Folks need to follow you on LinkedIn. You're always putting out some great thoughts there on LinkedIn. So
thank you very much. Yeah, we have this For What It's Worth that I've now I think on episode number 165 or something like that. So for 165 straight Fridays, I've done this little For What It's Worth thing. Some are better than others. Check out the next one, John, because we just got recognized as one of the healthiest places to work.
Oh, wow.
And you'll see somebody doing a lot of push-ups.
Oh, I can't wait.
That would be me.
I love that.
I have to be honest. So we didn't. We're saying they're counting to 50 because I can do 50 push-ups, but I didn't because I said they're going to get bored. So let's start at 30 and count to 50.
Yeah.
So I did that, but then I had to take a little break before I did my next little spiel because I was a little bit winded. But I can do 50 push-ups, but I didn't that day. So, but watch it because it's kind of funny.
I look forward to that. Absolutely. Tino Mantella, it's always fun to be with you and informative. Thank you. Appreciate all the great work you do.
Thank you, John. I appreciate what you guys do. It's terrific.
Thank you.